Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Didi Got a Podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Didi. Breaking news, everybody, for those of you that have not heard as of yet, this early on this Saturday morning, the United States of America has officially bombed Venezuela and captured their leader and the wife of their leader. And yeah, man, this just falls right in line. I've been saying for months that I thought that this was going to happen. And I've been saying for well over 2 years that Donald Trump is a war criminal. Our president is a war criminal. And I know many people already suspect that we're bombing them for different reasons, such as oil and things of that sort. But I want to remind people that wars in general are used as catalysts so that other things could take place during the war, like money laundering. So that is to say that you cannot become president, allegedly. You cannot become president unless you're going to be quote unquote pro-war. And I know many of you all that follow this channel is and or was huge fans of Charlie Kirk. But the truth of the matter is that Charlie Kirk was knowingly or unknowingly, and I would argue knowingly, part of the psyop behind pushing this narrative that Donald Trump was quote unquote no new wars, the no new wars president, anti-war president. Charlie Kirk said this for years, and it's just not true. You can't make it to that level unless you're going to do those things. I've been saying for a while, many of us have been saying for a while, we do believe that America is occupied. And I believe that after this happened, this only further leads us to believe that this is true. And I want to just remind everybody before we get into this story about Mitch Snow, I want to remind everybody that once again, many of us predicted, I have videos on this channel that corroborate everything that I'm about to say that I've been saying. As a reminder, as I thought would happen, no arrest of anyone in the deep state, no arrest of anyone involved with Epstein, no arrest of anybody in the quote unquote Democrat Party. And the only reason I say quote unquote is because the quote unquote left versus right paradigm, political binary, is a hoax. It's all a scam. A lot of these people are friends, and they know that in the end, no matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever it is, you have to push and follow orders from their bosses as well, if you follow my drift. No new arrest of anyone surrounding the January 6th debacle of who was really behind it. No major arrest around that. But here we are arresting foreign leaders. This administration is a joke, just like the last administration was a joke. And as a reminder, I do have a video coming on Donald Trump and the Great Reset that I do believe will take place this year, that will have more of an angle focused on the financial market and the US dollar. But interestingly enough, I believe that us bombing Venezuela is actually part of it all, believe it or not. And I don't believe that it's a coincidence that they waited until 2026 to do this. But I digress. Also, stay tuned either later today or tomorrow. I will be dropping a groundbreaking story with Brian the auditor. And that's as much as I'm willing to say on that. That's going to blow your mind. Now, let's get to the story that many of you all clicked on this video for. Mitch Snow, the quote-unquote source, or the source that Candace Owens was vetting on her show, that claimed that he saw Erica Kirk on, I believe, September 8th at some sort of hotel, and claimed that he saw one of Charlie Kirk's security members, Brian Harpo, on September the 9th at some sort of secret meeting. And obviously, many of you all who have been following this story, I don't have to brief you on that. There's been a lot of pushback, even though there was only one episode done on this. There's been a full campaign to discredit this person and their character, but not really focus on the things that he said, which has been very weird. Well, the other day we went live and reacted to a live show. Candace Owens went live on Twitter, and a lot of people was able to interact, such as Harris Smith, Ian Carroll, Myron Gaines, and the list goes on. And one of the things that Candace Owens revealed in this interview was that Mitch Snow actually had spoken to a guy by the name of Gary Melton from Paramount Tactical and Nate from Valhalla via YouTube, a person that I did an entire video on because I believe that some of the things he had been saying and doing were very untrustworthy, and I believe I proved that in that video. Anyways, so apparently he had spoken to these two people on the phone prior to them coming out and speaking out against this guy. And to Candace Owens' credit, she's right. They were extremely nice to this guy.
I get contacted from somebody who's in DC, and they were very concerned and thought maybe somebody was feeding me bad information. And I was kind of interested in the phone call, not going to name the person, but was basically like, worried about your security and things like that. And I was like, I think we're good. Like, we're just kind of vetting the story. Then on the 20th, and this is very interesting, these two YouTubers, Valhalla and Paramount Tactical, reach out to Mitch. And they're being super nice to him. And they're saying, or one of them said, and I don't want to mix them up, but we have the video of it because Mitch is predisposed to paranoia. And he recorded them. And I'm going to drop the conversations. I'm happy to drop them after this live. They're so nice to him. This is on December 20th. And, like, you know, they're not questioning whether or not he was in the special forces. They're not saying anything weird. And they're actually saying to him that I may be under foreign influence. I'm like, okay.
The recording that's been leaked now is almost 2 hours long, and they're very respectful to this guy. And we're going to play just a portion of it here in a second, but they're very nice, very cordial. Gary tells Mitch multiple times that, hey, if everything you're telling me checks out, then I'll be your biggest advocate. I won't stab you in the back, which from my understanding, again, we're going to hear this in just a moment. From my understanding, if everything checks out, that means if you were truly a Green Beret, all the questions that he was being asked by Gary, if you were truly a Green Beret, if you were truly in the military, all these things, which to my understanding, for the most part, he was able to prove and corroborate the information that he was telling Gary. But you wouldn't have even been able to know that they were this nice to this guy, that they even spoke to this guy based on how they came out publicly and talked about him. So hit the like button on your way in, as always. Now let's react to this clip.
Yeah, hi, is this Mitch?
Yeah, who's this?
This is Gary Melton. How are you?
Gary who?
My name is Gary Melton. What's going on, man? Yeah, so I'm a former first grade guy. I saw your interview with Candace. And I just had a few questions for you.
You do? Okay, are we being recorded or anything? Are we being... Let me jump into my car here. Yeah, you know, talk to Mr. Valhalla. He had some ideas. Well, and who are you again? Your Nate? Gary. Sorry, Nelson?
Just a second. Melton. M-E-L-T-O-N.
Okay.
Gary Melton.
All right. What kind of questions you got for me?
Well, I'd like to know a little bit more about... I'd like to know a little bit more about your history. You're kind of saying that you're, you know, a former SF guy.
Yeah.
When did you go to the Q course?
Oh, back in 1991. I can get you the class date probably in a few.
Okay. Would it be possible for you to look? If your story checks out, I'm all about it, man. I don't want to, you know, I'm not here to do you dirty or anything like that. But you know, obviously we have a regiment, and you know, we take that stuff very seriously.
Uh-huh.
Would it be possible for you to send me your DD-214?
Sure. The only thing you haven't done is you haven't told me who you're with.
Oh, so I'm with. Well, I mean, basically, like Valhalla, I have a YouTube channel. Paramount Tactical. I know Nate. I just talked to Nate yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he's a good guy, by the way. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of his.
We're great. We're good friends, and yeah, you know.
Okay.
I see. Yeah. So you know, if you could send me your DD-214, you know, and we can verify your story, and we can get to the bottom of. We all want the truth.
Sure.
And you know, that's what it's all about.
I wanted to be in the middle of this whole thing was the last thing. At the same time, I'm not going to lie for nobody. No offense, I've lost too much in my life. There ain't nothing you can pay me. And as far as I'm going to put this, so in case you're taking notes, I ain't taking a damn cent from Candace Owens. My heart goes up, like, I am so humbled by the support she put out there that she's intending to do a fundraiser for me. From what I hear that there's an account building, and until you guys go ahead and air my dirty laundry and let me defend it, whatever. I don't plan to take a cent from this.
So this proves that they knew that this guy had already stated he didn't plan to take any money from Candace. And I don't want to be irresponsible here and say for a fact that Nate from Valhalla VFT was on this exact phone call, or if he was on the phone call at this point in time. I don't know. I can't say that in good faith, but what I can say is Gary Melton, the guy here from Paramount Tactical, is apparently, and he says this during this phone call, that he's good friends with Nate from Valhalla VFT, and Nate has admitted this himself as well. So it wouldn't be far-fetched to believe that even if he wasn't on this call, He probably knew this information, yet from my perspective, it appears that even after this phone call, there was this narrative being pushed that he was trying to scam Candace Owens and her fans out of money, even though it's clear here that that doesn't appear to be the case.
All I want justice for me and my son. I've told Candace Owens this. That's what I was seeking when I went down there. This is all a distraction. It has sucked all the air out of the room, and I hope we get past it. I hope you guys do find all the answers. What I can say is, you can't pay me $1 to lie. I know what I saw. I think I do. And I'm typically pretty damn good at that stuff, and it's unfortunately not a gift. It's a curse as well, as you're starting to see. So,
well, I think Mitch, you and I are on the same page. And like I said, no matter what, I'm not going to do you dirty. Definitely
I
not going
appreciate
to dox you or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, you came at me a little bit hard on that. I saw a little bit of it, but again.
Oh yeah. No, I did.
I'm an enough guy that's sort of disconnected from myself, and you're like, the hell, I ain't heard of this guy before. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
No.
And that's why I wanted to reach out to you personally.
I'm glad you did.
And I think that's the right thing to do. And so, like I said, man, everything checks out. You're not going to have a bigger advocate than me and Nate for sure. I promise you.
I appreciate that.
So if everything checks out, you won't have a bigger advocate than me and Nate for sure. Now, when you say everything checks out, what does that mean? If he hasn't allegedly assaulted his ex-wife, or, if he hasn't been sued by other people, what do you mean? If he's proven that he's a squeaky clean person in other facets of his life? Like, what are you meaning exactly when you say if everything checks out? I believe the only thing that should matter here is if everything checks out as far as the things that he said about who he is, his credentials. Should we believe that about him? Shouldn't that be what matters the most? Sure, if a person has been proven to be a pathological liar, we should take that into account. But what should be most important is proving if what he said is a lie or not. If that checks out or not. It seems that matters very little to you all.
I don't know what else you guys need to check out, but yeah, I'll give it to you.
There's that. Now, many of you all may not know that it's even gotten worse, because since this has dropped, the person to actually drop this news, first and foremost, shout out to Project Constitution. That's where I got that clip from on Twitter or X. But the person who broke this story officially is a guy by the name of Stu Peters, who I've covered many times on this channel, who I am a fan of his work, so to speak. And Gary Melton from Paramount Tactical has since seen that and has announced that he's going to press charges and sue Stu Peters. And from my understanding, based on comments and replies under the tweet that I'm about to show you all, he plans to sue anybody involved, potentially Candace Owens and even Mitch Snow himself. But before we get to that, let me just give you my thoughts on what we just heard there. It seems pretty cordial. I do believe that it's honorable that Gary decided to call the guy, but it almost seems that he decided to call the guy for other reasons. Because despite the fact that Mitch seemed to be very cooperative, very willing to send them any information that they needed, it almost seemed as if the purpose of the phone call was to try to find a reason to not support Mitch. But I digress. Let's go to the tweet. So it says here, so the real Stu Peters released an illegally recorded call, given that Washington is a two-party consent state. This is a crime. They also doxed my phone. Charges will be pressed. I was asked by Mitch not to record, and I agreed. I was certain he was recording, or I was certain he was recording. I told him that if he was telling the truth, I'd be his biggest advocate. He lied to me multiple times on that call. He was the first person in the investigation I called. I wanted to hear from him first and give him an opportunity to tell his side and or come clean. This was all before I spoke to any of his ex-wives or his estranged children. The same estranged son that proved inadvertently in that conversation that Mitch was exactly where he said he was. They claim it's a 1 hour, 55 minute between the two calls. The call never quote unquote dropped, nor were there any interference or anything else. As you can see, there's 30 minutes missing from the release call. And what he's referring to, as I'll put it on the screen now, is he's showing that apparently the call was at least 30 minutes longer. But we all know, even though that this may be true, he may be telling the truth about this, that being Gary, it's also possible that you could have just left the line open. But that's not even the most important piece here. Let me make sure I understand something. You called another human being to interrogate them randomly about their life, about their backstory, about their credentials, asking them to prove if they are who they say they are, which, as a reminder, they said that this guy was, they originally said that this guy was lying about being a Green Beret. Once he actually proved that he was, they backtracked about that, pretended as if they never said it, and kept it moving, and said that they were embarrassed that he was. That being Gary and Nate from Valhalla. So you call this guy to interrogate him about his life. And for the record, I don't ever recall this guy saying in the call, asking you not to record him. What I recall hearing was him asking you if you were. He was just trying to see if you were recording him. I don't remember him saying deliberately, please do not record me. But even if he had said that, you called him to interrogate him, and now you're upset to find out that he recorded the phone call because some stranger is calling to interrogate him. But to make matters even worse, in this tweet, bro, you literally say yourself, I was asked by Mitch not to record, and I agreed. I was certain he was recording. So you admitted in yourself in this tweet that you already suspected that he was recording. In fact, you were certain about it. And then you still proceeded with the phone call. You proceeded with the conversation, but now you're announcing that you're about to sue and press charges against people. And in his replies under this tweet, he actually said that he believes that Candace Owens put Stu Peters up to this so that she could be absolved from being sued. But I believe he says that he plans to go after other people as well. You can't make this stuff up. You're proven to be some sort of operative, a part of some sort of campaign to disprove any narrative other than what the Fed is saying. That's my perspective. That's my takeaway from this. You're proven to be a snake with sinister motives, talking to this guy, being super nice to him, and now you're butthurt because he recorded the phone call and exposed you in the process. Well, this is my takeaway. I say kudos to Mitch. I don't know the guy. He may be a horrible human being outside of this situation. I don't know. But what I will say is kudos to him for recording the phone call, and also kudos to them for dropping it. Because if nothing in this phone call matters, or rather if the things in this phone call did matter, I feel like Gary and Nate would have already went into extensive details about this phone call and about the very things that just got exposed about them, but they chose not to speak about it until it just got leaked. Y'all up in the comment section, give me your thoughts. This is getting crazy. At this point, this leads me to believe that there's something about this Fort Huachuca story that they don't want to come out. Because you don't react like this is just a lie. If it's a lie, so what? Let them lie, run with the narrative. It goes nowhere. Keep it moving. But there seems to be this full-fledged, aggressive campaign to shut this story down. And we all need to be asking ourselves, why? And before I end this video, I want to remind everybody that Brian Harpo and Erica Kirk have yet to prove their whereabouts during that time. I'll catch y'all in the next one, man. Until next time. Peace.
Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.